Hi, my name is Ferhat Mameri. I'm a professor of translation. I've been teaching translation at Constantine University, Algeria, for almost 14 years. I've been also the chair of the Department of Translation there. Later on August 2014, I've joined UAE University. In this video, I'm asked to answer the question, how should we teach translation? Actually, it's a complex question, and the complex question is supposed to raise a complex answer. We don't have enough time to go into detail, but I should start by this. Teaching translation depends on a lot of parameters. Teaching translation for beginners is different from teaching translation for advanced students. The way of teaching a theoretical course, for example, let's say theories of translation, is different from teaching a practical course. The way of teaching a specialized course, let's say legal translation, for example, is different from teaching a general course of translation. And actually, the way of teaching any course should be adapted according to the objectives of that particular course, commonly called CLOs, course learning outcomes. So we can say that there is no model, there is no one and unique model of teaching translation that is valid for all the types of students and all the types of courses. But let's say that it's a course for beginners. Let's say it's introduction to a translation. Usually students at this level don't have any idea what translation is. They don't even know what is the difference between translation and interpreting. They have no idea about the different types of interpreting. So personally, I use videos. I use short videos for my students to show them concretely what is consecutive interpreting, for example, compared to simultaneous interpreting, what is sight translation compared to written translation, what is conference interpreting, and so on. Things could work just like this. As for translation per se, students should have this opportunity to get in touch with some basic theoretical concepts. These concepts should be taught not for the sake of theory. They should always be related to the practice. Basic concepts such as techniques of translation, for example, text types, the context, the role of context in dealing with meaning. Because students at this level usually think that we deal with language, and we should teach them that translation deals with something else, something that is behind the words. It deals actually with meaning, not with language. I've been actually a member of the admission committee for over than 4 years here in UAE, and students who are willing to join the BAE program are subjected to a written test and later on to an interview. During the interview, a very classical question is being posed to the candidates. Why you want to join a BA program of translation? And usually the answer is because I like languages, because I love English, I want to learn English. And here at this very beginning level of teaching translation, we should focus on this point, because a teacher of translation would not teach grammar or style or writing, even if he would assess these points when it comes to correct the students' translations. So language is a must. It should be a prerequisite. So what is important is to know how to convey the meaning from point A, commonly called source text, into point B, commonly called target text. This meaning is actually being oriented and fixed not with the dictionary, not with words, but there are some extra-lingual parameters that actually orient the meaning and help the reader to understand the intention of the writer. I usually give very simple examples to my students. Let's say, the door please. Exactly the same statement containing 3 words, the door please. So I ask them, if the door is closed, the door please, what would you do? So they usually say, I will open the door. And the opposite is also true. I open the door, then I say, the door please. What am I asking you to do now? You are asking us to close the door. So this is the best example, a very simple example to show them that actually what fixes the meaning is not the words, but some extra-lingual parameters. Let's call them context, let's call them, the intention, or something else. Students are also given this opportunity to know that not all the texts are being handled or should be handled exactly in the same way. So a piece of poetry should not be translated or approached exactly as a news article. And here we introduce the very basic concepts of text types as suggested by Katharina Rice in a very simple way. When, for example, I introduced the techniques of translation as suggested almost 60 years ago by the Canadian scholars Viney and Darbelny, I also give them in a very simple way. And I give some exercises to my students, sometimes in class, in a sort of workshop. Sometimes I give them this opportunity to translate their texts elsewhere, whether at home or in the library, using all the references, the dictionaries they want. Then once in class, a couple of students or a group of 3 are in charge of presenting their translation on the blackboard. The rest of the class here, they have their own translations also, and a sort of class discussion is raised. They give their comments, they give their orientations, they give their corrections, of course under the supervision and the guidance of the instructor. And in this way, students can know their deficiencies, of course, and repair them under the supervision of the instructor. By the end of the class, the section could come out with a commonly acceptable translation. That's all to it for today. Thank you very much for watching this video. Bye-bye.